An explosion in front of us while we were moving. We almost didn't say goodbye to our lives. It was a very difficult day. My name is Mark, and today I will tell you how we survived the bombing. Listen to the end of the story. It is very interesting. The air inside the dugout was heavy with the smell of oil, sweat, and scorched cloth. No one said much. After what happened last night, we were all running on fumes. Jackson sat slouched near the entrance, his hands wrapped in stained bandages. Foster slept with his back against a crate, one boot off, the other still laced halfway up. Riley was checking his weapon again, even though he'd already stripped and cleaned it twice. I lay on my cot, staring at the wooden beams above. My body ached from head to toe, the kind of deep ache that no medicine could fix. It wasn't pain, it was weight. The kind that settles in your bones after too much noise, too much smoke, and too many names you don't want to forget. Outside, the wind carried dust through the open flap. Somewhere nearby, someone was heating water over a makeshift burner. The distant pop of gunfire echoed faintly through the hills, but it felt like it belonged to another world. Then the door creaked. Captain Harris stepped in, holding a small radio unit. His jaw was set, his eyes sharper than usual. Everyone looked up. "We've got to change," he said simply. "New intel from recon. The terrain 2 clicks east gives us better lines of fire and natural elevation. Command wants us there. We move out in 20. Riley raised an eyebrow. "That's fast." "Too fast," Jackson muttered. Harris nodded. "Which is why I want full prep. This isn't a stroll. It's a strategic repositioning. And I want all of us arriving in one piece." No one questioned him. We trusted Harris. He wouldn't move us unless it mattered. I sat up and reached for my gear, fingers sore and stiff. I noticed Foster still asleep. "Hey," I nudged his boot. "We're moving." He blinked awake, eyes bloodshot, and sat up groggily. "Again?" "Always," I said, managing a faint smile. Outside, engines rumbled. The trucks had arrived. It was time to go. Again, the trucks groaned as they rolled out, engines coughing against the weight of steel and mud. I sat in the back of the second vehicle, wedged between Foster and Riley, trying to shake the dull ache in my shoulders. Across from us, Jackson rested his head against the canvas wall, eyes half shut but alert. No one spoke. The quiet wasn't peaceful. It was loaded, dense with expectation. Riley kept his eyes on the flap, watching the path ahead through a slit in the tarp. Foster leaned slightly forward, hands wrapped around his rifle like it might slip away if he let go. "Feels like we're rolling straight into something," Foster muttered, breaking the silence. Riley gave a grunt. "We always are." I adjusted the strap across my chest. Every time we've been told to relocate for a better position, it's meant someone saw something we weren't meant to survive. Harris's voice crackled through the comms mounted above the cab. "Remain alert. We're taking the Eastern Ridge Road. Limited cover. Eyes on the sky and tree lines." The truck bounced hard over uneven ground, forcing us to brace against the walls. Dust crept in through the seams, coating everything with a dry, sour film. "Remind me again why we couldn't wait till morning," Jackson asked. "Would have been nice to ride without feeling like bait." Riley shrugged. "Maybe Command figured the enemy would still be sleeping off last night's fight." The convoy moved in a line, 5 trucks, spaced far enough to avoid a chain blast, close enough to support. We passed a burnt-out transport, half sunk in a ditch. Old, scarred black. No one mentioned it. Foster glanced up at the open sky through a tear in the tarp. "Feels exposed. Too quiet out here." He wasn't wrong. The usual sound of distant artillery was gone. Just the hum of engines, the occasional rattle of gear, the rhythmic bump of tires over gravel. My foot tapped without rhythm, restless habit I couldn't shake. 5 more clicks, came the voice over comms. "ETA, 15 minutes. No contact so far." I exhaled slowly and leaned back, watching Foster adjust his vest for the third time. We were moving through open country, ridgelines flanking us on both sides. If someone wanted to ambush us, this was the place. And that thought never left me. We were 10 minutes out when everything shifted. It started with a low hum, almost unnoticeable under the grind of the engine. Then it grew louder. Not wheels, not ground movement. It was coming from above. Riley stiffened first. He leaned toward the open flap and peered into the sky. "We've got company." Foster followed his gaze. "That's not thunder." The noise swelled into a roar. The trucks lurched as the drivers instinctively hit the brakes, engines growling. We spilled forward, grabbing onto side rails and canvas loops. 3 o'clock high! Ramirez's voice exploded through the comms. "Fast movers incoming." "Repeat, we're under threat." Panic rippled through the convoy. I shoved Foster down and scanned the sky through the gap in the tarp. And there they were, 3 sleek aircraft banking hard, sun flashing off their hulls. The lead one dipped lower, fast. "No cover," Jackson barked. "We're sitting ducks." The first bomb didn't hit our truck, but it was close. The explosion tore through the rear vehicle, sending fire and black smoke into the air. The shockwave rocked us sideways. I tasted grit and heat as we slammed into the side of the cabin. "Go, go!" Harris shouted over comms. "Break formation! Disperse into the tree line!" Engines roared to life again. The convoy split, trucks veering off-road, carving paths through the brush. We hit every bump like it might break the axle, but none of us cared. The second pass came fast. The sound of jets screaming overhead felt like death itself. Then, salvation. Truck 3, the modified flatbed. A steel panel flipped open from the rear. Hydraulic arms lifted a mounted autocannon skyward. Riley, still half standing, scrambled over and threw the activation switch. The turret whined, locked, and opened fire. Tracer rounds lanced the sky. One of the planes cut a tight loop. Too tight. Direct hit. The jet exploded mid-bank. Debris tumbled like metal confetti into the ridge below. The other 2 peeled off immediately, streaking into the clouds, vanishing beyond the hills. The forest went quiet again. Only the engines remained, growling, shaken, but alive. "All trucks check in," Harris called. One by one, voices answered. Our truck, Truck 1, was intact. Truck 3, miraculously untouched. Truck 4 had a wounded axle, but no casualties. Truck 5, silent. A moment passed, then a weak signal. Driver down. 2 injured. We're alive. We were bruised, bloodied, but we were still moving. We reached the new position just before dusk. The trucks rolled in slow, tires grinding over loose gravel as we entered a narrow plateau surrounded by steep ridges. Trees pressed in from the north. Jagged cliffs boxed us in from the south. It felt like a trap, but Harris said the intel was solid. Good elevation, natural cover, bottleneck access. Defensible. We unloaded quickly. Foster helped the wounded from Truck 5, blood soaking into his sleeves as he lifted one of them over his shoulder. Jackson took point, directing the others to the sandbag line already half built into the slope. Riley climbed a rocky outcrop and scanned the horizon with his scope. I moved crates of ammo to the center of the camp while Ramirez set up the comms antenna. No one waited for orders. We just worked. The kind of work that said we all knew this place wouldn't stay quiet for long. The sun dropped fast. Shadows crawled over the ridge, dragging night with them. We moved with urgency but control. Patrols were set, watch shifts posted, traps laid. Within 30 minutes, we turned bare ground into a stronghold. Not perfect, but it would hold. For now. I sat down next to a pile of sandbags, hands covered in dirt, arms trembling. Harris walked past with his rifle slung and a clipboard in one hand. He looked at me. "They know we're here," he said. "And they're coming." I nodded, too tired to reply. He continued on, shouting over his shoulder, "Get some rest while you can. Might be the last clean breath you take tonight." Later, I overheard him at the radio, low-voiced but focused. He was speaking to command, confirming our position and reinforcing supplies. They told him what we already knew. The enemy had spotted the smoke trail from the downed jet. They were regrouping, coming fast. Riley, Foster, and I sat around a dented lantern, sharing rations that tasted like wet cardboard. No one complained. Jackson returned from patrol and crouched beside us. "They'll hit us by dawn, maybe sooner," he said. "They've got motive now." "What do we have?" I asked. He looked at me, then at the rest of the squad. A ridge, guts, and just enough time to make them regret trying. The wind picked up around midnight. Cold, fast, sharp like broken glass through canvas. Most of the squad tried to catch sleep in dugouts or behind crates, but sleep never really came. We all felt it, the weight of something building out there, just beyond the dark. I stood near the perimeter, hands stuffed into my vest, eyes locked on the tree line. Riley joined me with his rifle cradled across his chest. "You ever feel like the ground itself knows something's coming?" he asked. I didn't answer. I just nodded. The silence spoke louder than any words. Minutes passed, then the comms lit up. A quiet voice on the line. Our scout team on the far ridge. Movement confirmed. Multiple silhouettes, not civilians. Estimated numbers, 2 squads, maybe more. Jackson appeared at my side. "They're not wasting time. They'll come in hard, quick. Try to push us out before we dig in deeper." Harris gathered us behind the southern wall. Map laid flat on an ammo crate. He pointed with a gloved hand. "We bait them. Pull back on contact. Make them think we're crumbling. Once they hit this ridge line." He tapped twice. "We strike from both flanks. Riley, you lead the left. Jackson, you take the right. Mark, you're with me. We'll pin them when they're exposed." The plan was risky, but it was our only shot. We didn't have the numbers, only the terrain, and the will to fight smart. We spread out silently, shifting into the night. No headlights, no chatter. Just the scrape of boots and the distant hum of the approaching enemy. Down in the valley, we saw the faint glow of flashlights. They weren't hiding. They were confident, maybe too confident. I glanced at Riley before he disappeared into the darkness. "Let's make it hurt." He nodded, vanished into the brush. Jackson clapped my shoulder. "See you on the other side." Harris adjusted his grip on the rifle and gave one last look across the ridge. "Hold steady. Let them think we're scared." But none of us were. We were ready to bleed for this ground, just not ready to give it up. We waited. Down in the valley, enemy boots hit the mud. You could hear them, measured, practiced, confident. They didn't sprint. They walked, like the ground already belonged to them. I crouched beside Harris behind the outer ridge wall. His face was stone. My hands gripped the rifle tight, every breath shallow but steady. In the distance, Riley's team was already in place, motionless shadows wrapped in the dark. Jackson's crew mirrored him on the right. Everyone was waiting for the moment we'd flip the switch. Then it happened. A flare popped over the valley, red light bleeding down across the terrain. The enemy surged forward. Harris whispered, "Now!" I rose and fired. The ridge exploded in thunder. Tracer fire streaked across the open field. Jackson's team opened up from the right flank, Riley from the left. The enemy had walked straight into a V-shaped kill zone. Chaos followed. They broke formation immediately, some trying to scramble back, others diving for cover that didn't exist. One of them had a launcher, got a shot off that landed too close to Foster's position. Dirt and bodies flew. Ramirez dragged him clear, blood pouring from Foster's leg. No time to scream, just motion. I moved with Harris toward the center line, covering the medics. We advanced 5 meters at a time, firing, ducking, rising again. My shoulder throbbed from recoil. My lungs burned. But I didn't stop. One by one, their line collapsed. When the last of them ran, they didn't run in formation. They just ran. Silence fell hard. Riley came limping out of the trees, face black with smoke. "We've got the ridge," he said, breath ragged. For now, Jackson helped Ramirez stabilize Foster. Harris looked out across the broken valley. The smoke, the blood, the shattered weapons. Then he turned to us. "They'll be back, but they won't forget this." I sank to my knees, not from injury, just exhaustion. My heart was still racing, but my rifle finally hung loose at my side. We hadn't just survived. We'd taken the fight to them, and tomorrow we'd do it again.